Hey guys, I do apologize for the lack of uploads over the past week. I've just been extremely busy trying to build my new computer, and I'm glad that I'm going to be able to make more Rising Storm 2 Vietnam videos, but I don't have a video actually prepared at the moment for it because I'm just too lazy. But we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. Now, obviously, almost everyone knows about this game. This game was going to be next generation, revolutionary video game that was going to really stick it to the big companies like EA, Rockstar, and say, yeah, you know what? We are not going to stand for this. We're going to make a game. It is going to be the best game. It's going to be an RPG. It's going to have no microtransactions, no fancy DLC. It's going to really stick it to them. And I mean, they did kind of deliver on that part. I don't think there's any microtransactions in the game. I've been following the game on Reddit and YouTube and stuff closely, and the amount of bugs that have been just coming out of it, I'd say it's on par with Fallout 76 level of stuff-ups. In my personal opinion, I don't think you can really stuff up as bad as Fallout 76, because I mean, it wasn't just the game that stuffed up, it was the helmet, the bags, the Nuka-Cola rum. That was just a freaking avalanche of shit. But Cyberpunk 2077, obviously the game throughout development, I'll admit, I was getting my hopes up pretty damn high, because I'm like, wow, will I be able to, I can't say this, it's a little bit inappropriate, but I was like, can I do some inappropriate things in like 4K, 120 FPS? Could I do that in the game? And I mean, and honestly, thankfully they did deliver on that as well, so yeah, that worked out. But I want to go over their apology video that I found on Yahoo Finance, because I own $50 worth of Bitcoin, so obviously I'm a shareholder now, or coin hot. I don't know how these things work. But we're gonna go over that today, and just a couple of other things on Reddit that I've just kind of compiled together. Anyways, let's just play the video.
And despite good reviews on PC, the console version of Cyberpunk 2077 did not meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet. The console version of Cyberpunk 2077 did not meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet. The console version of Cyberpunk 2077 did not meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet. Please don't fault any of our teams for what happened. They all are incredibly talented and hardworking. Myself and the board are the final decision makers, and it was our call to release the game.
Okay, so one of the things that I actually did like about this apology is how they kind of blame the board people, which is very true. I don't think any developer out there, or most developers, like, you don't just become a developer for the sake of it. You know, you gotta go to college, university, whatever to kind of do it. So the thing is, I do believe that every, or most developers out there will try to do the best that they possibly can so that people can appreciate the game that they're playing. Because I remember actually on Reddit, jeez, I've mentioned Reddit so much, but there was this guy on, it was like an Ask Reddit post or something, and he was saying that, oh yeah, you know, I'm a developer of the game Brink, and I don't know if you guys remember back in 2011, I freaking love that game. I still have a poster of it on my wall, and I love that game, but obviously it was, well, now that I played it like 10 years later, or 9 years later, or whatever, and yeah, the game is, it's a shit game. Admittedly, yeah, it's a shit game, but I mean, I don't blame the developers for it. You gotta blame the big guys at the top, because they're the ones that have to oversee every single decision, and they have to say, yeah, you know, this is good, let's sell it. And it's the same thing for Cyberpunk 2077. Every single ad, every single sort of trailer release that you saw, chances are that people on the board saw it and they approved of it.
But condensed in one big city and in a relatively loading-free environment. On its own, this is a challenge, but we made it even more difficult for ourselves by wanting to make the game look epic on PCs and then adjusting it to consoles, especially old gens. That was our core assumption. And things did not look super difficult at first. We knew the hardware gap, yes, but ultimately, I think that time has proven that we've underestimated the task.
Now, the thing that kind of baffles me here is if the game sucks for PS4 and Xbox One, why would you sell it in the first place? I understand it's all money, money, money. They're a big bunch of corpos, but after all the videos that I've seen of what the game looks like on PS4, I mean, you just can't do that. You should have just made it for, you know, PS4 Pro or PS5 and that's it. Like, that's too bad. People with PS4s, I understand that, I mean, if they want to buy the game, they got to buy it at their own risk, but this is what you get when you announce a game back in, what, like 2013, 2014 and say that it's going to be this amazing freaking, it's going to be this next generation of gaming. I mean, over the span of, what, 7 years, of course things are going to change. You're going to have to change things for the newer times. Like, obviously, graphics back then or back in 2015, they're a lot different to how they are now. But I'm just perplexed as to how, like, over the course of development, how no one said that, hey, this game is going to be a piece of shit on Xbox One. Like, look at this, 14 FPS. Like, what can you do? Like, I understand that, obviously, I do believe that, like, a developer or people that work there had to have said something, say, hey, this is going to be a piece of shit. But then, of course, you know, people at the top would be like, no, 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 no. It's fine. It's fine. We can do this. We're going to make money.
We will, of course, continue to work on the game in future updates and improvements beyond that. Our big plans for supporting Cyberpunk in the long term did not change. As for the free DLCs, our initial plan was to deliver them just after the release, much like we did with The Witcher 3. We decided to focus on the most important fixes and updates first, and we'll be releasing the DLCs afterwards. Expect more information in the upcoming months.
But basically, to sum up the video, they basically are telling people to wait till 2022 before the game is actually at, like, a very good state for, you know, everyone, bug-free, you know, graphics or whatever, PS4, Xbox One is fixed. But, you know, the good thing is if they don't actually deliver on fixing the game, well, the Polish government is going to take 10% of the annual profits. So, yeah, you know, I guess that does make the big guys at the top shaking their boots. But, I mean, another thing about the video is the fact that, like, they said they didn't know at any point that the game was, like, in the state that it was. It's like, how do you do that? Like, it's your game that you're working on. How do you not know the quality of the game that you're working on? Like, I mean, if I was an employer, if I was working for a game development company and I was one of the big bosses, you know, I'd like to know if my product is, you know, actually decent, because I don't want to end up like Bethesda, because whenever people talk about Bethesda, it's like they just think about bugs and lies and Todd Howard. But it's the fact that when the Polish government came out saying that they're going to be taking action against CD Projekt Red, it's like all of a sudden they issue an apology. It's like the game has been out for like, what, a month now, and I checked the subreddit like every single day, and every day there's something new, someone posting like a bug or like just something bad is happening in the game that isn't supposed to be happening. I mean, if I were them, I would have apologized like way earlier, like 2 weeks after release.
Sorry.
And the thing is, I've brought up Reddit, the subreddit, so many times before, but I want to go on there for a quick second. And you know, the thing is, if you go on there, you're going to get lots of videos of bugs or like what the quality looks like on Xbox One and whatnot. But you also get these posts of like things that are like missing features, because throughout the development, they were going to promise like all these things. It was like a real world, you know, environment. And you know, a common thing that I see brought up is like people complaining about like all these like extra activities. Like, you know how in Grand Theft Auto you can like go bowling with your cousin, or, you know, go to the gym, and, you know, GTA San Andreas, in my opinion, was probably the best when it came to doing all that stuff. You could go to the gym, learn new boxing moves, you had garages, you could customize cars. You just had all this extra sort of like immersive stuff. And I know, like in Grand Theft Auto 4, let's say bowling, you know, no one really did that. Let's be honest, how many times did we go bowling? Except for that one mission where we had to like go on a date with, I forgot her name. And most of the time, I'd say 95% of us would have just skipped that mission, because bowling is just so unnecessary and not fun. And the thing is, you see people complaining like, oh, why can't I do all these things in Cyberpunk 2077, even though a lot of them were promised or and whatnot. But I believe it just has to be with the immersion factor. Like, you want to feel like that you can do all these like unnecessary shit in the game, because it's immersive. It makes the world feel alive. Like, you can actually interact with things like you can in, let's say, the real world. And you know, one of the things that kind of did piss me off a lot is the fact that, you know, they were promising like, oh, you can have a 6-inch, oh, actually, no, that's not big. Oh, wait, no, it is. Okay, I don't know. I've got myself in a little conundrum here. I meant to say, you were promised you could have like an 8-inch big black cock and run around waving it around. You know, the thing is, you could see your big black cock in the character creation menu. But I mean, why can't I run down the street in nothing but my underwear and my big black cock just waving around for the whole world to see? Why can't I do that? I believe that that's an immersive thing. But I mean, you can't customize vehicles. Like, you have these amazing vehicles and you can't customize them. You can't customize your apartment. And you know, crowds have low level reactivity. And I mean, actually, a bad thing that I've been doing incorrectly this whole time is comparing Cyberpunk 2077 to Grand Theft Auto, which is, you shouldn't really be comparing these two games, but look, I don't know, I couldn't really think of another game because, I mean, I'm not very cultured. All I play is Bloody World of Tanks and CSGO Surf. But anyways, I'm gonna end today's video there. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please do consider leaving a like, subscribing, sharing the video with your friend. Anyways, my name is Tantu, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.